Today we're going to be looking at factoring trinomials with leading coefficient of 1. The first example we start out with is y squared plus 8y plus 7. We notice that they're both positive, and so our factors will both be positive. The only factors of 7 are 7 and 1, so it factors into y plus 7 times y plus 1. Looking at the same pattern where they're both positive means our factors are be positive, and of course we know x squared factors into x times x. The factors of 5 are 5 and 1, and they do add up to 6, so we know it factors into x plus 5 times x plus 1. Looking at another pattern, we have a negative in the middle and a negative on the far right. We're thinking of terms that are two factors of a negative 2 that will add up to a negative 1, and that's negative 2 and 1. So it is m plus 1 times m minus 2. Looking at the same kind of pattern with two negatives, and again we know our x times x will give us our x squared, and we're looking at factors of a negative 8 that will add up to a negative 2, and those are a negative 4 and 2. So our factors are x minus 4 times x plus 2, and that does multiply to x squared minus 2x minus 8. Another pattern is when we have a negative in the middle and a positive on the outside right term. So two factors of positive 9 that will add up to a negative 6 in this case are negative 3 and negative 3. And of course we know a squared factors into a times a. So our factors for a squared minus 6a plus 9 are a minus 3 times a minus 3. Using the same pattern with a negative in the middle and a positive on the outside, we need two factors of a positive 3 that will add up to a negative 4. And of course, those are negative 3 and negative 1. And again, we know the factors of b squared are b and b. So b squared minus 4b plus 3 does factor into b minus 3 times b minus 1. Factoring out the greatest common factor first, we're given two different examples. The greatest common factor of 2y squared plus 8y plus 6 is 2. So we factor that out and we find that 2 times y squared plus 4y plus 3. Continuing to factor, we factor out this y squared plus 4y plus 3. So that factors into y and y for our y squared. And again, they're both positive, so these have to be positive as well. Factors of 3 that will add up to 4 are 3 and 1. So it factors into 2 times the quantity y plus 3 times the quantity y plus 1. We're looking at the next example, 10x cubed minus 10x squared minus 60x, and we're trying to figure out the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor in the numbers are 10, and the lowest power of the variable is x, so our greatest common factor is 10x. Pulling the 10x away from the 10x cubed, we find that that's x squared. Doing the same thing to the middle term, we find that that's a negative x. And finally, taking 10x away from the negative 60x, we find that that's a negative 6. Continuing to factor, we're factoring out this x squared minus x minus 6, and it does factor into x and x because we know that gives us x squared. Then we're looking at factors of a negative 6 that will add up to a negative 1, and those are a negative 3 and positive 2. So 10x cubed minus 10x squared minus 60x does factor into 10x times the quantity x minus 3 times the quantity x plus 2.